the reaction from the Hunt family regarding the kicker, Harrison Butker.
Well, I can only speak from my own experience, which is I've had the most incredible mom who had the ability to stay home and be with us as kids growing up. And I understand that there are many women out there who can't make that decision, but for me in my life, I know it was really formative in shaping me and my siblings to be who we are.
So you understood what he was talking about?
For sure.
This week, Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl champion kicker Harrison Butker's commencement address at Benedictine College caused an uproar. He's a practicing Catholic. He was delivering a message to Catholic students graduating from a Catholic college, and it was about being Catholic. But for some reason, a whole lot of people who aren't Catholic were chiming in with their outrage. Well, earlier today, the daughter of the owner of the Kansas City Chiefs, Gracie Hunt, appeared on Fox and Friends, and she was asked about this controversy. Take a look.
We're going to start with you because the couch would like to know, as America would, the reaction from the Hunt family regarding the kicker, Harrison Butker.
Well, I can only speak from my own experience, which is I've had the most incredible mom who had the ability to stay home and be with us as kids growing up. And I understand that there are many women out there who can't make that decision, but for me in my life, I know it was really formative in shaping me and my siblings to be who we are.
So you understood what he was talking about?
For sure.
Okay.
And I really respect Harrison and his Christian faith and what he's accomplished on and off the field.
Greg, the question here is the message that he delivered to specifically the women graduating. He had messages for men too, by the way, that were, kind of tough love as well. That's not getting a whole lot of attention. But what he said was, listen, you're not at the end of the day going to remember all of the great promotions you had and your great work achievements. You're going to remember the family you raised and the children you helped educate and bring into the world and being a great wife to your husband. And that's what everyone's angry about, Greg, is this really a bad message to be sending to young people? And by the way, that's a message for men too, about how they want to prepare themselves for life.
I mean, wow, what a scumbag. Am I right? This guy, oh my God, this guy had the audacity to tell women at a college graduation that the most important thing they'll ever do in their lives is get married and start a family, and said essentially the same thing to the men. Like, wow, what an evil human being. And yeah, no, obviously it was not a bad message what he said at all. I feel like every couple months, some like high profile professional athlete or celebrity will say something conservative and it becomes the biggest scandal in the world. This is like kind of just the latest iteration of that. And like, you can tell that a lot of the people commenting on this didn't actually watch his speech and are just putting, a lot of false pejoratives on it. Yeah. Because the message, like, clearly the most important thing all of us will ever do is starting a family. I'm sure you would say the same. I'm sure you would say that about yourself. And this is the message that all these people are angry about. And, the left, they're angry about it because he really attacked many of the false idols that the left believes in. The left, there's a reason that the majority of Democrat voters are single women, unmarried women, make up the huge base of the Democrat electorate. And this explains why a lot of them are angry at Harrison Butker today, because he attacked, all of these idols that they ascribe to. They don't, as opposed to, telling them, hey, family is important. Family is really one of the last conservative institutions in America. There's a reason that married women vote overwhelmingly Republican, whereas unmarried women do not. It's really one of the last lines of defenses that we have against the left in this country, and they're mad at him for advocating for it.
I tend to agree with you, but what do we know? We're men. Sarah, set us straight here. Was this an offensive message to women, or are women acting too, triggered by this? What's happening here that we're missing?
So I think we're looking at it from the black and the white. If you take a step back and you look at the trad wife versus the feminism argument, that's what it comes down to. A lot of women feel like they either need to be single to prove that they're a feminist and a boss babe, or they have to be a trad wife and just completely succumb to like their husband's needs. You can be in this gray space. Like, you don't have to be owned by a certain side because you're a conservative or you have to be a Democrat. And this comes back to the Democrats always just getting upset, especially the women getting upset, screaming into the void because a man is saying something about how this has served him, his beliefs, and this is what he wants for his family. It has nothing to do with them personally, and I think they're taking it too personally. So just take it with a grain of salt as it is. He's a pro-family Christian conservative, and it works for him, and it's brought him joy, and he wants that for other people.
I wonder also if it resonated, like as a Catholic, he used words like the vocation of marriage, which is a very specific vernacular for Catholics. We view our participation in the marital bond in the same way as a priest's vocation to the Lord. So I wonder again if there's sort of a disconnect here, not just conservative and liberal, but also specifically Catholic language spoken to a Catholic audience, because being married and raising a family is in fact an important vocation, Sarah.
Oh, absolutely. I'm Catholic as well. And so I totally understand it, where this is an actual event in my life that is going to be one of the biggest things that's ever happened to me. And this is the specific role. This is the big step. It's not just, going to a Las Vegas courthouse and something like that on a whim. This is something you've set your entire life up for, to serve God. And there are so many people, especially on the conservative side, who are Protestant, evangelical, Baptist, and they don't really understand the Catholic lingo. And so when I saw that, I understood what it was about, because I went to Catholic school, all the way through college. And you just have to take a step back and think about it, or look into the background, which we don't do enough. If you don't like what they're saying, read into it more, figure out your own bias and why you're thinking that way, not because an influencer or infographic is telling you what to say.
Well put. I think you're right. I think a lot of the reaction here came from political bias, certainly, and people sort of going into their own camps. But I think a lot of it was also born out of ignorance. Greg, there's also a real Catholic disconnect here in terms of some of the other criticisms. They said that he was being snide about LGBTQ issues, gender issues, gay issues. I think almost every single comment he made about those kind of cultural issues, abortion, DEI, he was really talking about the fact that prominent Catholic leaders like Joe Biden were betraying the faith on issues like that. And he was trying to call these young Catholics about to graduate college, calling them to enter into the world, enter into society, and become leaders who don't turn their back on their faith, who actually promote those values. It wasn't a criticism of gay people, it was a criticism of Joe Biden.
Yeah, like I said, he attacked the sacred idols of the left, whether it's abortion, whether he attacked birth control, he attacked, the absence of fatherhood, all of these things that affect cultural rot in America, he was attacking in that speech. And, that's why essentially these people are screeching today. And yeah, like you said, there is a difference between, calling yourself a Catholic and actually living out your faith. One of the things that he said was that, the Church of Nice, as he said, is not a winning proposition. And he's exactly correct about that. And, again, they hate to see somebody who actually would live out their faith in the public square and advocate it to the next generation. That's really where I think the biggest disconnect is. And, the other thing to say about it is there was a petition on change.org that has 200,000 signatures at this point calling for the Chiefs to get rid of this guy, which first of all is not going to happen because he's one of the best kickers in the NFL. And as an Eagles fan, I can say, I remember the Super Bowl a couple years. There's no way the Chiefs are getting rid of that guy. But it's you think about all the truly scummy people that are active NFL players. You have people who've beaten their girlfriends. You have deadbeat dads. And you have, one of his teammates, Rashee Rice, who literally just got arrested for causing a 6-car pileup in Dallas, Texas. You think about all these really scummy people who literally play in the NFL right now, but the bad guy is the Catholic guy who gives a speech about being Catholic at a Catholic college. It's ridiculous.
It's a great point. And all the comparisons to Colin Kaepernick are absolute fraudulent. What Colin Kaepernick said and did, he was in uniform on the playing field before the game, wearing the logo of the NFL and the 49ers. What Mr. Butker did was in his private life, again, at a Catholic college. Real fast, one last question here, because the polls are showing that Donald Trump currently is actually leading with voters under 30. I feel like a lot of the reason the media is overplaying this story is because they're making conservatives look out of touch and sort of, old-fashioned and not really in a groove with young people. But my impression right now of young people in this country is they're moving more in a conservative direction, actually, than my generation was in our 20s. Sarah, am I misreading that, or am I just taking a sample? Because a lot of the younger people I know are conservative.
No, I think you're exactly right. There have been multiple studies about this. Look at what has happened in the past 10 years with the pandemic. The kids who graduated high school during the pandemic went to school, and now their campuses are being taken over by pro-Hamas activists. You're also looking at that from the social justice perspective, which I feel like a generation before. I was born in 95, so I'm on the cusp of millennial Gen Z. And what I've realized here is that when I was growing up, social justice was the big thing, especially as a woman. It was still wear the pink hat, everything like that. But when you get older and you start to, I was never that person, just saying, but when you get older and you start to see all of this social justice movement stuff, you graduate, you can't, like, I live in DC. I was paid almost nothing in my first internship. And then I have to go and live on that. And then it's looking at the taxes and you're saying, what would best serve me? And I think honestly, it is just being a conservative, seeing where your money's going, lower taxes, everything like that. And they look for guidance, but the only people who, you know, if you're a journalism major, you're looking at Anderson Cooper, Katie Couric, your entire like school career. You don't get those. You need people who actually fight for you, not for the cause, the ideal world Democrats pitch that sounds so sexy.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll let that be the last word. I'll just also say people should watch this entire speech before they form their judgment. When he's talking about his wife, he breaks down in tears and talks about how they met in band class in middle school. I've never seen anything more wholesome than these guys, and that's why the left hates it so much.